Hey guys, Corey Correa here. Welcome to Blue Talks, and I hope you enjoy this video.
Three weeks after starting a new job as a director for a new company with a new team, 3 weeks in, I lost both my parents. My mom on Friday and my dad on Monday. And I was a single mom. Here's what no one tells you. Life doesn't pause for grief. The emails kept pouring in. My calendar was filling up with meetings and events. My daughter Katie needed to be fed breakfast and taken to school. And all of this was going on while I'm trying to learn people's names and understand my new role. I remember sitting in front of my laptop with the camera on in some meeting or other, smiling and nodding and being engaged. But behind the scenes, my world was crumbling. On the outside, I looked composed, like I had it all together and I was getting things done. But on the inside, I was falling apart. So I did what a lot of leaders do, especially women in leadership are conditioned to do. Smile. Put on the mask. Power through. Keep it together. People would say to me, I don't know how you do it. And the truth is, neither did I. That mask that you put on to protect you is also the very thing that keeps you from authentic leadership. So while the mask did protect me, it also kept me feeling isolated, exhausted, and silently unraveling. And this wasn't the first time that my world was shattered, that was literally blown apart. Years before I lost my parents, I lost my home. And it wasn't from a natural disaster like a fire or a flood or an earthquake. No, this was a disaster of my creation, a storm of my own doing. It came from chronic self-sacrifice and the lack of setting boundaries. I gave too much. I trusted too much. I loaned money, lots of it, that I couldn't afford to lose. I said yes when everything inside me screamed no. I carried burdens that weren't mine until eventually the foundation that I worked so hard to build started to crumble beneath my feet until I had nothing left to stand on. And losing my home, it wasn't just about losing the four walls and the roof. It was about losing the illusion that strength meant endurance at all costs. And these events, these life-changing events, they leave scars that you can't see. But they reveal truths that you can't ignore. And here's a trap that women in leadership know all too well. We're expected to hold it together, to smile through pain and exhaustion, to prove ourselves by doing more and carrying more, giving more and producing more. We're rewarded for being unshakable, for being the ones that never drop the ball and never letting them see us sweat. But let's call it what it really is. It's performance. It's a mask. And that mask, it may earn you applause in the short term, but in the long run, it costs authenticity. It costs connection. And eventually, it costs trust. I learned the hard way that the armor that we put on to protect us is also the very thing that keeps us from being real. 2 storms, losing my parents, losing my home, forced me to strip away the masks that I had been wearing for far too long. And in that very raw and very broken place, I finally learned strength isn't about never falling apart. Leadership isn't about being invincible. And the armor, while it shields us from pain, it also keeps us from connection. And leadership without connection, that's not leadership. That's performance. Those 2 storms forced me to rethink everything that I believed about strength and confidence and leadership. And I knew that if I wanted to start living my life differently, I was going to have to think and behave differently. So I came up with 4 rules for myself that would kind of guide me. And after practicing them for a while, they really started to change everything for me. And I'd like to share those rules with you now. Rule 1, resilience. Resilience isn't about not breaking. Real resilience is what happens after the break. It's the comeback. It's the getting back up, dusting yourself off, and moving forward. I realized when I stopped trying to be invincible, that's when people trusted me the most. Rule 2, confidence isn't fearlessness. Fear doesn't disappear. Confidence is walking forward anyway, in spite of the fear. Confidence is not the absence of fear, it's the act of overriding it. Rule 3, silence isn't strength. For years, I thought that holding everything made me strong. But the first time that I admitted that I was struggling, that I needed help, an amazing thing happened. People didn't turn away. They leaned in. I learned that saying yes to things that I didn't want was saying no to things that mattered more. Setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's self-respect. It protects our time, our worth, and our mental health. Rule 4, you don't have to be perfect to be respected. What? You don't have to be perfect to be respected. Does that resonate with anyone? I used to think that leadership meant flawlessness, that if I did everything right, no one could question my credibility. But perfection doesn't build respect, it creates distance. You don't inspire people by being perfect. You inspire people by being present, by listening, and having empathy. And when I stopped trying to look like I had all the answers, my team started to bring me their ideas. When I admitted to not being perfect, they leaned in. People don't trust perfection. They trust honesty. They trust effort. They trust authenticity. They trust you, the real you, not the highlight reel. And I realized after a while in practicing these rules, they didn't need to just be my rules. They could be rules for leadership in today's world. The world today doesn't need leaders who are more polished and untouchable. It needs leaders who are real, who model resilience and confidence, empathy, and connection. And after these storms, after I started using these rules for a while, I found a new kind of strength. Not the stiff, unbending strength that comes from performance, but a grounded kind of strength that comes from authenticity. I started to set boundaries. I led with my head and my heart. And an amazing thing happened when I stopped running on overdrive. I was able to start thinking strategically. I could mentor my team, not micromanage them. I could coach them, not control them. And my team didn't just perform, they grew. They took ownership. They came to me with their ideas and their feedback and their opinions because I gave them the space to use their voices. Setting boundaries didn't shrink my leadership, it expanded it. I could finally zoom out and lead rather than just try to survive another day. And I learned something very powerful. I learned that vulnerability isn't weakness. It's honesty and transparency. And the more vulnerable I was, the more trust, respect, and impact I gained. That's really the paradox. We spend years hiding the cracks, but that's where our greatest power comes from. And maybe you felt the cracks, the exhaustion of carrying too much, the guilt of saying no, the pressure to keep smiling when you're breaking inside. If that's you, I have to tell you, you're not failing. You're human. And that humanity, that honesty, that's the foundation of leadership. So if you're standing today in your own storm, whether it's from grief, exhaustion, burnout, or betrayal, I want you to hear this. And I want you to know this. You don't have to be bulletproof. You just have to keep standing. We don't get to choose the storm, but we do get to choose who we become after it. And women leaders, this is our moment to stop confusing silence with strength, to stop hiding behind masks, to redefine what real leadership looks like. And when you rise, not flawless or untouched, but human, authentically you don't just lead, you transform, you inspire. And leaders, there's going to come a moment when the image that you've built and the truth that you're living, they no longer match. And that's your crossroads. That's the moment you decide. Do you keep performing or do you start leading? And I can promise you that if you choose authenticity, the fear doesn't vanish, but freedom rushes in. And that is a leader that the world is waiting for. So as I stand here with all of you today here at UCLA, a former student here, by the way, I can tell you with absolute certainty, strength is not what you show the world. Real strength is what you stop hiding. The storm is inevitable. The mask, optional. Which will you choose? Thank you.